Fed them to the mountain. I mean, hey, we're live. Welcome to I Drink and I Know Things number 11. This time with no kids in the background. No, I did not feed them to the mountain lion. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There's not much going on in the news today, boys. Is this the calm before the storm? Or is that because we're now going to start rationing electricity? Oh, wait, we're not. That's Venezuela, right?
Yes, it is. It's Venezuela. Good old frickin' Maduro. Maduro announces 30-day ration plan. Here, I'll put this in a copy of this link into the side chat here for us so that everyone can look at it while I read it. At your discretion.
Thank you.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, in an address on Sunday on state television, announced a 30-day plan to ration electricity. The rationing plan, Maduro said, will also help the government deal with the country's water and communications infrastructure. On Sundays, residents fed up with the reoccurring electrical blackouts have protested by banging pots, burning garbage in the street, and shouting curses at President Maduro. Maduro said schools will remain closed and the length of the workday will be cut to conserve power during the 30-day period, meaning more people are not getting money to feed their families.
Wait. Whoa. Inflation is quadrupling, and he's shortening the work week. God damn it. Okay. Is there any cats left in this country? Because that's usually the first thing eaten, right?
I don't know. They don't mention any cats, but they do say things like, no one could put up with this. A Caracas housewife complained on Sunday as she tried to buy a chicken, but discovered that the bake machines didn't work.
She tried to buy a chicken. Poor fucking bitch.
There's no water since last Monday. You can't call by phone. We can't pay with cards or even eat. Another homemaker said she can't refrigerate food and said that her appliances break. It's impossible to buy a replacement. Since you can plug it in, but there's no electricity, what difference does it make to buy one?
Wait a minute, and this is the southern hemisphere, right? So it's summertime down there?
Well, it's fall now. Just like it's springtime here, it's fall time there.
Okay, but either way, though, the temperature isn't cold enough to where their food will keep without refrigeration.
Oh no, hell no! I mean, especially Caracas. I mean, you're talking about they're very close to the equator. So I mean, even during summer and winter, there's not much difference for those people in the equator. Yeah, it does get a little colder, but not extraordinarily, unless you get into the mountains. In the mountains, it does get cold if you get into the mountainous areas. But as far as Caracas goes on the coastline, opposition leader Maduro blamed the blackouts on U.S. sabotage.
How the fuck is this my fault? Fuck you.
It's always our fault. Opposition leader Juan Guaido said the government neglect and mismanagement are responsible. They brought the electrical system to a collapse because they're corrupt, and now they can't resolve it because they're incapable. Well, yeah, that normally goes along with corruption. Guaido used his constitutional authority as head of the National Assembly to declare the Maduro presidency illegitimate, saying that he was reelected in December in a fraudulent vote. The United States and about 50 other countries recognize Guaido as an interim president. Washington has imposed numerous sanctions against the government, but Maduro is refusing to step down. And he's now having Russians come in to bolster up his regime.
Is it really that hard for you to not call the Russians Soviets?
They're not
any. When it comes out, huh?
They're not any different. Okay, I don't see any difference. It's not unintentional.
Aren't they the Russian Federation or some shit?
I don't care what they call themselves. They don't do anything differently, really. They have a few more freedoms, granted, but not a whole lot.
Well, no, and here's the thing, man. So when the power went out at my house for a couple weeks, we had snow on the ground outside. So you know what we did? We took our food and we put it on the porch. It wasn't that hard. You know what I mean?
If you take the food and you put it on the porch for these guys, okay, the food that isn't stolen will spoil in a matter of hours.
Oh yeah, no, and it'll get stolen. Like, let's be real.
Well, in fact, if you put food out, you're probably advertising that you got food, and you might be inviting your family from being attacked and knifed as they rummage through your house looking for the food. But that's a separate issue.
Do they have like wine cellars down there, like underground areas where they could put their food to keep it cool, like in the old days?
I'm sure in some of the richer areas they could do something close to that, but in the vast majority of people are living in those freaking rundown apartments.
Well, yeah, and I knew shit was going bad when they were playing freaking role-playing games and selling items in it to make more money than if they were actually at work. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they were making their money for a while. Is like, what game is that? RuneScape or some bullshit?
Yeah, let's hack it and then sell the items.
Yeah. And then they would get money into their PayPal and USD, and then that's worth way more than any of their money down there.
Right.
And they were actually able to make a living that way. But now if they're rationing electricity, they can't even do that.
Well, the government also cracked down on that ability to utilize the U.S. banking system. So they were screwed long before that.
You almost feel bad for these poor bastards.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, that may sound cold, but I don't. You voted for this. No, I don't care what they say. They voted for this. This is what they voted for.
Yeah.
They didn't vote to starve to death, all right? They didn't know any better.
Did. They voted. You can look throughout history. You know what's going to happen. You have somebody promising you the world that you know is too good to be true, and it turned out to be too good to be true. Do you think I'm going to sit up there and blame other people, or blame the situation, or blame the downturn in the economy? Or do you think I'm going to blame the morons that voted for this, that thought that they could live high on the hog on someone else's money? Don't get me wrong. I understand why they get upset, because there are some evil, corrupt, freaking rich people that they get jealous of. But that jealousy is so out of control with leftists that they go after them, going, "We're going to punish those leftists. We're going to show them. We're going to make this a workers' paradise." And as soon as they go down that rabbit hole, what happens? It turns into a disaster. And who's to blame for it? Do you see any of them going, "Well, shit, we made this mess. Let's go fix it"?
There's protests, protesters in the streets, or at least there were until it got cracked down on. So there is some people that are opposed to this regime. And don't you think that if the corruption runs so deep there that he would have won even if he falsified the vote?
No, well, no.
May I butt in here? Just
Sure.
as a minor point. Yeah, Mag, you're right there, mate. But you want to remember this. The peasants have no food, no water, no weapons, and the people in charge have the military, which probably still have food, water, and weapons. Let's see, who do you think is going to win?
Well, the military's starting to turn on Maduro as well, right?
Exactly.
Well, slowly, but how long is that going to take? And even
as soon as the regular non-com sees their families starve to death, it's not going to take long.
It'll take longer than you think it will, because when you're dealing with a police state, you don't know if the buddy next to you is your buddy or whether or not he's an informant. So coordinated action in those situations is difficult, because you don't know who you can trust.
Yeah, but
it's all easy to talk about what it takes to do a coup, an organized coup. It's all easy to talk about it. You see it all in the movies about these people that do all this stuff, and it seems so simple. It's not that easy. It really isn't that easy to pull off a coup like you see here. Okay, will it eventually happen? Yeah, it eventually will happen. How many people have to die before you get to that point?
Yeah, but the officer class, I'm sure, is being taken care of. But your regular private or, like I said, non-commissioned officer, their family is probably starving in the street right now.
Maybe not. You don't know. All right, and this is the thing. You don't know what the situation is, and it could be that the person, the non-com that's in there, he doesn't like his family anyway. There's this thing that the poor and the indigent are somehow better people and nicer and aren't as corrupt as the leaders are. No, they're just as bad.
Yeah. Sorry, Mad, he's right.
I don't know. I just couldn't see something this drastic within the United States without you seeing a schism within the military itself between the commissioned officers and the non-commissioned.
No, that's not going to happen. You won't see a schism like that. You got to remember something. When you're dealing with your officers above you, especially in the situation you're dealing with down there, which is a bit different, okay? But our officers above us, they're generally decent leaders. They're generally doing on the line with you, okay? They're fighting with you. They are taking risks, same as their troops do. They're not back in the background. People don't think that the units, all right, when you practice in a unit, when you succeed as a unit, okay, that doesn't mean you hate your officers above you. Oh, there are times I did. I'm not going to lie to you. But there's times I dearly loved my officers and would follow them anywhere. Okay, so it's not a matter of necessarily of whether or not the officers are being fed. If the officers are worth their salt at all, what they do is they give as much as they can to the people below them. They're soldiers below them, if for no other reason than to keep them loyal, to prevent them from going over to the other side, to prevent them from turning on them.
Well, I totally understand what you're saying. I guess the way I'm looking at it, especially down there, is the pay grade difference. And the fact that you're going to see an officer make probably double what just a private's making, and with the inflation going out of control, and the food situation rapidly spinning out of control, you can see a schism start to happen much more rapidly than you would within the United States military, of course.
Well, I mean, could a schism like that happen? Of course it could. Will it happen, though? I mean, it's not. There's no guarantee to it. Plus the fact, there's the other aspect, which is the military can decide, you know what, we're just going to take the thing, situation in our own hands, and we're going to become the third power and say we're in charge. And then they may kick Maduro out, but they may tell Guaido and the rest of them, we're not listening to you. This is now a military dictatorship, which is probably what is going to be the end result of all this is actually going to be.
Do you think that would bring okay, so I'm not for a totalitarian state. You guys know that. But the thing is, though, when it comes to stability, that could really stabilize Venezuela, couldn't it?
Sure. Will it?
Define stabilize in this particular situation. Will it become more stable than it is currently? Quite probably. Will it become better? That's a completely different fucking question.
Yes, it is.
I have no answer to that. But a military-controlled oil industry sounds a whole lot better than the one they have currently, where it's controlled by the corrupt politicians.
Yeah, a military-controlled oil production will work really well because the peasants will literally be driven to actually do the work, quite literally at gunpoint. I believe there's a term for that. Begins with S. I seem to remember you Americans had a whole thing, an issue with it back in the 1800s. Slavery? Does this ring any bells?
No. Go ahead, Hyper.
Well, that sort of shit's just sort of shit. The shit fucking communist Russia did. Fucking gulags, working people to death. Fucking road of bones and that sort of shit.
I'm not saying it's a good outcome. All right, I think you guys are misreading what I'm saying here. I'm just saying starvation or military control. Give me food, and then let's argue later.
Oh, that's great. There won't be any argument because anytime I want as a military leader is I withdraw the food. You seem to be getting a little uppity there. Maybe a couple of days without food will convince you to stop being uppity.
Yeah, but you forget when you withdraw shit like that, the peasants tend to get a bit rowdy and start rioting.
Well, if they start to riot, they tend to try and get a little rowdy. But if you stamp on it really hard, they tend to avoid that. Especially if the ones that are being selected as not getting food generally isn't you. It takes a lot of courage to stand up for somebody else. So what they do is they use selective brutality. They don't.
Sorry, sir. Please carry on.
I mean, that's the technique of those types of regimes. I mean, if you really want to see a master at it, go back and study how Hafez Assad sat up there and stayed in power for as long as he did.
The other thing to remember is, as discussed earlier, about whether or not you can trust your neighbor. They will set up a commissariat, and it will be a case of you hand in the people that are, starting these little problems, and we'll give you extra food. Oh, yeah, I'll have some of that. It's not like that hasn't worked. Germany, Russia, pick one.
It's not like that doesn't work simply from the fact of I never liked that asshole anyway.
Yeah,
that's what tends to go on with those regimes. Eventually, it'll collapse, but for a couple generations, it can continue. It'll continue until the military itself becomes too corrupt.
Yeah.
Well, no, and Hammered Spud said the military in the USSR kind of disproves your point, Mad Dodge. No, I get it. I'm not saying this is an ideal situation. But what you're talking about a populace that already voted in favor of socialism. They're already 3/4 of the way to a totalitarian style government. I don't think they're going to notice much of a fucking difference.
You're probably right, but the thing is we're in a world that unless you can absolutely isolate yourself, which is not actually as easy as people seem to think it is, the rest of the world will still want to get involved. You've got the bleeding heart liberals that are going to be bitching at the new, what are we going to call him? General Presidente for life, Let's be fair, that's the sort of names they love to pick, especially in the South American and Central American areas. And I mean this with no disrespect. I'm just taking this as a generalization. Let's be fair. You take a look, most of them are El Generalissimo Presidente for life as part of their title.
Yeah. Well, you're right. And what's more is if they go after certain groups, all right, then what happens is, of course, is those groups get pushed even further. And because of the worldwide communist movement, especially in the press, all right, they always promote the worst elements. They promote the freaking communists, all right, which is what leads to these things to begin with. We have yet to see a revolution, all right, with the exception of Poland, which backed away from communism. And I think really in many ways it backed away from communism only because of two key factors. All right. One, all right, they had it wasn't just communism, it was the lack of toleration of the Russian involvement in all of their affairs. All right. So there was that animus which pushed them in that direction to divorce themselves. And the second thing is direct involvement of a religious organization, meaning the Catholic Church at the time. All right, under Pope John Paul. All right, that created a dynamic that basically allowed, Glasnost, all right, to succeed.
Well, no, and Hammered Spud in the chat says, so long as they wear a cloak, I'm okay with it. I'm with you, Spud. Yeah.
As long as they wear a cloak.
Yeah, who doesn't want Count Dracula as their president? Come on.
Oh, I could go on about that. Oh, dear.
I am taking care of the people. They are the food source. They volunteered to give me blood.
Is Theresa May related to Count Dracula?
No, she's just looks like a zombie.
Well, okay, let me ask a question since we're slightly switching subjects here. And I'm going to fully switch it now. What were the votes today?
Those votes?
Yeah. It was the same, literally the same crap she's been trying to get through time and time and time. Can we just assume I've been sitting here saying "and time" for about the past next 5 minutes? And time again. She's literally trying to ram the same crap down our throats. And yet again, the MPs are now looking at her. I actually don't think she could get away with it, even if she actually gave us what we wanted. We're that sick and tired of her shit now.
Okay,
or at least that's my opinion.
Okay, that's good. But aside from a hard Brexit, is there any other solution, really?
No, you are completely correct, sir. When you turn round and say our choices are slavery to the EU or hard Brexit, that is the only two choices. They were the only two choices at the beginning. They'll be the only two choices at the end.
Hey, Jensen, I'm going to put some horrible imagery in your mind here. But are you trying to say Theresa May doesn't like it hard?
Well, she negotiated a checkers deal.
No, what the hell was the checkers deal?
I have no idea, but he ruined a perfectly good joke. Damn it, memes.
Oh, sorry. But no, it's what she negotiated. Basically, it's at the one major East. I think they stay in the free market or the whatever the market is, common market, and they leave. But as far as immigration stuff goes, anybody immigrating in would already have to have secured employment.
No, from what I saw, the whole thing was from that deal. If that's what the checkers deal is, it's worse than that memes. It's like whatever rules they came up with, you can't tell us, and then you have to abide by.
Well, they're in the common market without representation.
Well, yeah, it's not like you guys know anything about lack of representation, do you?
Hammered Spud says if Theresa May would have worn a cloak, she would have got the deal passed the first time.
I think there's something to that. We need to bring back the cloak.
Hey, Hammered Spud's all for it. Like, I'm about ready to start making Mad Dodge Productions cloak just so Spud will buy something from my merch store.
Focus on selling current merch. Shill a couple of those mugs first, and we'll see.
Yeah, do you want to tell Cab, or do you want to be like Cabby and tell memes to shut up? Go ahead, buy a mug from the merch shop.
Then throw said mug at meme's head.
Fling the mug and then fling a mug at him.
Are you a mother cupper? Are you a mother cupper? Go get your mother cupping cup at the dog merch store. Okay, I'm done now. I'm done.
Do I get a helmet?
No, you don't get the helmet.
We don't give it to you. If you find one, oh well.
Oh, I have a helmet.
You might want
to see one of those foam retard helmets.
I have two.
You might want to sit up there and see whether or not Mad Dodge just sold them in his merch store. Memes headgear. Here, it's a merch store.
I think it's an alright helmet.
Drag it on one side and I feel pretty on the other. It'll be great.
If you put a dragon helmet in your store, I may actually buy it.
Oh, now I gotta fucking find a dragon helmet. Son of a bitch.
Well, hey, we're drumming up business for you. You should look at it that way. Think how much more popular you'll be having a dragon helmet.
Do you need to wear a helmet when you go buy your beer?
Well, if you're doing it by bike.
You know what's sad about this is we joke about this, but one of these days, poor Memes is going to walk into a bar and somebody's going to recognize him. Aren't you Memes of Destructions? And three people are going to perk up and go and start flinging their stuff at him. Shut up, Memes!
Yeah.
I will feel bad for you, dude. I really will.
MC, if at that point that ever happens, I think I would take note that I think I would be widespread known enough that I could monetize something.
that might be true, but then again, I mean, you did get Sargon of Akkad to mention you, so you got to mention by Sargon.
Yeah,
Gave him money.
You could walk in, right, and you could sell the rotten fruit. And check it out. Bear with me here. After they throw it at you, you pick it back up and resell it. Fucking brilliant, dude. It'll go great.
Dude, we could treat it like barbecue chicken. And just like, how they keep the chicken out there, then all of a sudden a day goes by and, well, we can't put the chicken back out there. Let's lather some barbecue sauce on it, charge $1 more. For the beaten up fruit, we could charge more money.
Why do I have a feeling that they'll both of these two cretins would try to sell it to the Venezuelans as food supplies?
That's actually not a bad idea.
I still remember Joe from Sitco and the people of Venezuela.
Tomato only tossed once.
Aren't we paying farmers to not grow crops?
Right now we're not. No.
Okay.
What they're paid for is not to grow certain crops, but they grow something else. They're encouraged to grow something else. So it's not that they don't grow crops. They don't grow a specific crop, all right, in a rotation. They just basically ensure that rotations are taking place. That's
I don't remember who I was talking to about this, but I was talking about ramping up hemp production, and I would remove the current subsidies on corn. Right, you remove the corn subsidies and you give a temporary 25% subsidy for 5 years to production of hemp, and you get some of the farmers to switch to hemp production, where we can manufacture rope, paper, and other stuff out of it. And after the 5 years, you get rid of the subsidy for good, and then you no longer have subsidies on corn or hemp, and you have a bigger output of
okay, that sounds great in a planned environment, saying this is what our plan is. But what happens to planned economies? How often do they succeed?
Mad, you also need to realize you're going to have big corn come after you.
Yeah, fuck. What are they going to do? Throw food at me? They're already doing that to you. You're fine.
No, the thing is when you do something like that, so we can ramp up hemp production. It could do this and it could do that. Well, it could, but what if it doesn't? What if people don't make paper mills and paper out of hemp? What if people don't make rope out of hemp? What if this doesn't become a takeoff for an agricultural industry after your 5-year plan? Then what happens?
Well, then you
still scrap the subsidy, and you still have no subsidies on either. So you're saving money in the long run.
You're not saving anything really, though. All you did is you tried to change things, and who knows what the effects across the board are going to be. How many people who decided to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take your word that there's going to be a product line for this. The farmers change over. They take your word. The subsidies are pulled out from under them, and then what happens to their land? What happens to the farmers that took the chance on you and you failed? For you, you're just a politician. No big deal. For them, they've lost their entire livelihood.
Well, actually, producing hemp helps put the nutrients back into the soil anyway, and you could use it during your crop rotations. So I don't think there would be a long-term detriment.
Well, not to the soil, no, but to that farmer, he may lose his entire family farm as a result.
Well,
there are human costs to this.
Fair enough, but I'm not saying for them to swap completely over all the way. I mean, that would be a foolish act to do. You want to diversify and grow more than one crop.
Well, you're forcing them to try and diversify, and then you're assuming that the market, because of the excess production of hemp, will just spring up out of nowhere. I don't see that happening.
MD, have you ever played Farmville?
No.
Okay.
I don't play gay games.
Zombie Island.
Not a direct equivalent, but similar. But
here's the thing, though. Do you think the subsidy on corn is good? I think it's detrimental in a variety of ways. One, it's keeping the production of high fructose corn syrup at a high level. It's cheaper to use that than to use real sugar in soft drinks. And if you want to argue about obesity, then it helps that because high fructose, corn syrup is bad for you. So removing that subsidy would be overall good, and a temporary subsidy on a different crop to diversify isn't necessarily going to murder the farmer's economy. No? All right. We're done with subsidies then. Everybody went silent.
Oh no, unfortunately I'm trying to do several things at once here. I gotta do this. I know. I don't want to have to do. I'll do that later.
But no, we were talking about Theresa May. She tried again, Jensen. Okay, will this harpy just give the fuck up and go home, or buy a fucking cloak?
Honestly, she needs to. She is. I mean, I'd use the term shooting herself in the foot, but she's put out this same goddamn thing so often. She doesn't have any legs left, let alone goddamn feet. She is. Go on.
Why doesn't she just become British and say, look, it's this or this, and whatever you decide, I will follow this and I will do my damnedest to carry it out. But it's going to be this time, or it's over with this and we're taking the hard Brexit because there is no other choice. And be honest with the people. Why do people keep thinking that there's somehow going to be some other type of deal that's going to magically just and there it is. You know that isn't going to happen. Everybody in God knows that isn't going to happen. So you might as well say, look, we're biting the bullet here. Either you give it to me this time, or we're going for the hard Brexit, because those are the two choices.
Yeah,
I second that motion, but I follow it up with the question. Jensen, wasn't it Margaret Thatcher who got you into the EU? I thought she was conservative. Why did she sell out your sovereignty?
No. Thatcher was like late 70s, early 80s. We joined the EU right back at 73-ish, I think.
Oh, so you're already in it.
Yeah, we were screwed before she even got there. She actually wasn't a great fan of the EU herself, from what I remember reading. Remember that, I didn't really start taking notice of that much until after she'd gone. So my knowledge on this is a bit shit.
You're my age, aren't you, Jensen? So you weren't even alive yet when she was
exactly
in office. Yeah.
Well, I think that Americans as a whole have a much more positive view of Margaret Thatcher than many of the people in Britain.
Just so you know, Lothar Sheffield put in Ted Heath back in 73, 74. So I did vaguely remember. Yay me.
Well done, sir. Well done.
No, and MC, I think you're right, because I've never heard anything but good stuff about Margaret Thatcher. But then you look at UK politics at the time, and she was quite a wedge issue, really. And look at punk rock of the time, and it's all anti-Thatcher, isn't it?
Yeah, because she nearly destroyed the entire fucking country. She literally started the Falklands War just to get re-elected.
I don't think she started the Falkland War.
No, she actually did. The government knew that the Argentinians were going to invade the Falklands, but instead of actually sending a fucking task force over to tell to keep the fucking dirty Argentinians away from the Falklands, they ignored it and let them invade it so they could start a war and get re-elected, because everyone likes a good war to get re-elected.
I don't think that.
It is documented, and there's actually official documents over it.
Well, to know that the enemy is planning to do something doesn't mean that the enemy is going to do it. All right,
because Argentina tried that before with the previous Labour government, and the Labour government then sent a task force to sort of ward them off and just say, no, don't bother trying it. We know what you're up to. Fuck off. and they didn't vote.
Yeah.
Okay, which is news to me, but cool.
Here's some more news coming straight
She
from
also
the
really fucked the British Army by implementing the S80, which is by far the worst military rifle in service.
This is coming right from the chat. Jez Oldfield says, Thatcher stole my milk, bitch. Well, all right. You heard it here first. Margaret Thatcher stole Jez's milk. That bitch.
No, I've heard about this actually.
It was actually that was started by Labour before Thatcher.
They stole
Yeah.
Jez's milk?
The taking milk from schools was actually implemented by Labour before Thatcher.
Oh,
What?
he was serious? Fucking hell. I thought that was a joke.
Yeah, taking milk, removing free school milk.
Why?
Because
It was
the
expensive.
government, it was expensive.
But kids like milk usually.
And yeah, again, it was expensive.
Kids need milk. More milk.
I bring you back to my last statement.
So Margaret Thatcher was stealing your guys' milk when we were like, chocolate milk every day. We're like, woohoo!
Do you guys remember Smilk?
No.
The
I'm not even
colored
sure
milk?
I want to hear it.
No, it was pitched by Smilkster.
I think the 60s were good to you, Beams. They were
No,
good to your
no,
I
no,
think the
this is late
60s were
80s.
good to your parents and it carried over to you. I really do.
I think my dad was in the army and my mom was a flower child.
Well, we know where you got it from then. don't
Well, I mean, she was more or less a genius, but I teach their own.
we?
Okay, all right. So Thatcher stealing milk. Hyper. So you really are not a fan of Margaret Thatcher, it sounds like. Where do MC and I have it wrong? Because all I remember hearing about Margaret Thatcher was she was almost like your guys' Reagan.
Well, to be fair, I mean, she implemented taxes which no one liked, hence we had the poll tax riots.
I remember that was toward the end of her.
She also
career.
fucked over the coal mining industry,
Yep.
which we had. That's why we had the coal mining strikes and more riots. We had brownouts. We had blackouts due to obviously power cuts and shit due to Thatcher's shite. There was also refuse rubbish not being picked, like trash not being picked up because of Thatcher's shit.
Jez has said she destroyed the country by smashing the unions. I have heard that as well.
I'm not a fan of unions, though. See, I see that as a high point of her career.
Yeah, here's the thing that the unions were cancer as well. Because all the unions tend to do over here is demand more shit to expect to get more shit for nothing.
Right, less work for more money. That's what unions get to. Unfortunately,
we would do
with the exception. But see, there are certain unions you can't do that with. Okay, and I'm very serious about this. There's certain unions that are definitely necessary, and one of the big ones that's necessary are mining unions. Why? Because mining is always inherently dangerous. Unions were created to protect workers, and since mining is always so inherently dangerous, you're always going to need unions to help protect the actual workers. If I remember correctly, didn't you guys have a couple of cave-ins?
Oh yeah, we've had
that time as well.
Those have happened. Well, those will always happen.
Right. Well, I mean
but here's the thing: unions are pointless if you actually have decent laws that actually protect workers, which we tend to do in the UK now.
Oh yeah, I mean we've done that in the US for a long time, with the exception, like I said, there's always new technology when it comes to mining.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when it comes to unions, we always had jokes like when I was building fences, right? We would just, every once in a while we'd stop and smoke a cigarette because we're out there fucking working in the hot sun building a fence. And the boss is like, "What the fuck is this? A union break?" We're like, "Damn right, boss." That's the joke.
So,
the
so you do support unions
breaks all day for $15 an hour. You know what I mean?
I mean, prime example of unions being cancer is my city where I live, which is Leeds. The fucking bus drivers were on strike. I think it was last year or the year before, wanting more pay when they were getting £10 an hour for driving buses.
Well, no,
And
it's like the teachers
no, here's
union.
the thing. They also got various different benefits. I'm like, motherfuckers, you cunts are getting paid over £10 an hour for driving buses, which is well over the minimum wage for people in this country.
Have you ever been responsible for driving a bus on a daily basis, dealing with people in public?
Stop trying to make excuses for what they're doing.
Well, no, and memes. Next, you're going to tell me that the teachers need to go on strike every other year. They only work 3/4 of the fucking year, dude. How much money are we supposed to pay these people? They take all summer off.
I went out on a date once with a gal that was a union rep.
Okay. And
or the fact like I was forced
we
to
lost touch a bit,
pay
but
dues into the SEIU before. The Service Employees Union. Like I didn't want to be a part of this union, but I couldn't have my job without paying the dues. They're like, you don't have to participate, but you're gonna pay us. I'm like,
so you were a union member.
Yeah, and then I got a new fucking job where I wasn't a union member anymore. Fuck them motherfuckers.
See, that sort of thing is why they just turn into fucking bullies. So, oh no, you can't have the job unless you're part of the union. So, but what if I don't want to be part of your stupid fucking union?
Right? What if I want to be the scab? What if when you go on strike, I still want to go to work? Fuck you.
Yeah, what if I just want to just do a 90 days work, so whining because we think we're entitled to some more money when we're not?
Well, I think one of the things that does definitely plague some unions are the same thing that plagues any larger bureaucracy, where if all of a sudden you get to a certain point and people are well established and entrenched and they're just kind of forming a whole quote-unquote buddy-buddy network around them and they're kind of in their own little echo chamber, then what may have started off as doing good, noble work for a lot of folks, it can lead to massive inefficiency.
Good, noble work.
Dude, MC, even you can't argue saying that unions didn't have a place in U.S. history.
You do realise that the unions were started by criminal organisations?
Which one?
Originally, as far as I know, they were...
Let's talk about the Teamsters memes. You want to talk about which one? I got one right now, the Teamsters, sir.
Organizations of people who are corrupt in places of power. Is this what we're talking about?
Are you telling me Jimmy Hoffa was an upstanding citizen?
All I'm saying is there may or may not be a Red Sox jersey buried in the new Yankee Stadium concrete. Actually, no, there isn't. They actually dug it back up.
I can actually give you something that is supposed to be true about Thatcher. That's actually a good thing. Apparently, her and her husband were instrumental in developing soft scoop ice cream, so that's a good thing.
Oh.
She invented soft serve?
Yeah.
I love this woman.
One of the only things I like about Thatcher is she hated feminists.
Yep.
And they hated
love her, maybe not as much.
Real quick, I'm looking at the chat here. Hammered Spud says, good British coal is excellent for forging, burns hot due to the
anthracite
content. Actually, Hammered Spud, dude. My wife last night was watching Forged in Fire, that History Channel show where they make the swords and knives and all that shit.
So good.
And yeah, it's a good show. And she's like, I want to learn how to do that. And I actually thought about you, Spud. I was like, oh, I should make Spud do some fucking videos on forging. So yeah, we're drafting you, Spud. You're gonna start putting out content whether you like it or not. No.
You're gonna be out there with bellows, and your wife is supposed to be the one wielding the hammer.
Yeah, right.
I see
the asshole with the hammer. She's gonna stand there and go, "Oh, that's a pretty knife, thank you."
I think this is a plot by your wife. Not that it's not a good idea, but I do think it's a plot by your wife.
No, just rear that hammer back really far and don't hit me.
Actually, I'm more thinking large, open, burning area, mad shoveling wood in, quick push, and that's one problem dealt with.
No, we're not turning Oregon into the molten core.
In Hansel and Gretel. Hey, just stick your head in the forge. Is it on fire yet?
All right, little Johnny, push, pump it. Oh, Mary Sue, she's looking to run around. Oh, look at that.
MC has a strange infatuation with the Hansel and Gretel story and putting children into ovens for some reason.
I wasn't the one who brought it up this time.
You personified his children as puppets at one point.
Well, I mean, okay, and?
That is all.
So, I know hardly anybody cares, but Jensen cares. That's enough for me. They put out a new trailer for Game of Thrones, Jensen, and it looks like when the dragons are flying in between the two canyons, it looks like they edited out Jon Snow and Daenerys. I think Jon rides a fucking dragon this season.
Yeah,
I'm laying the bets right now. Jon's on the motherfucking dragon. Jon Snow versus the Night's King, and they're both on dragons. It's gonna be fucking epic.
It's Bronn.
Right, you brought this up, Mad, so if anyone's got a problem with talking Game of Thrones, drop it on him. Have you seen the size of the map of the world of Game of Thrones, dude?
It's on my wall right now, yeah.
All right, cool. It's fucking huge. I like the sound of some of these countries in the east. Entire
No,
cities
and if you look at it,
dedicated to
like I'm looking
necromancy.
over at my wall right now. So Westeros, all he did is he took Ireland and England, and of course Scotland. But he took the two islands and he flipped them up and connected them. That's all he did. Like that is England and Ireland is Westeros.
Wait a second.
And,
Count Danculus from the Vale?
And he left. When you look at Essos, it looks like he kind of left France out, but it looks like Spain is still there, jetting out. That's kind of the lands of God damn it, the Valerians area. You know, that blew up. Yeah.
Now, as I say, there's a whole bunch of cities over in the what we would term the Far East. They interest me. The Shadowlands and stuff like that. It really sounds like there's some cool shit.
It sounds like there was a nuclear war. The rivers glow. You can't eat the fish. No food will grow there. They have to import everything. It sounds like a fucking nuclear blast.
Have you ever seen a war with dragons?
I've seen various films with dragons in, and I've played enough games that involve war with dragons, not the least being the Dragonlance series. If you haven't read them, give them a look.
All I'm saying is if you have enough dragons fighting stuff, it may resemble a nuclear blast.
Yeah, I'd accept that.
Well, yeah, but why would the river going through the Shadowlands glow?
Magic.
All right, when in doubt, go straight to magic. All right, I got you.
Well, no, you're not getting away with that one. Dragons in a world without magic. Do you know what they call dragons? Lizards. You need magic for there to be dragons. Guess what? There was magic. Now, I'm not saying there couldn't have been a nuclear strike or something similar, but as said before,
George R. R. Martin normally writes sci-fi, right? I've heard this theory proposed before. A Song of Ice and Fire is actually in the future. It's after an atomic war where life was reset. And that's why the weather is so messed up. That's why you have summer for 6 years and then winter for 4 years. I mean, we're talking years straight. I mean,
got to tackle climate change.
That's not normal.
Actually, that would make perfect sense for quite a lot of that planet, especially based on the shape and design that they suggested for it. It could well be the Earth as we know it, but in the future.
But yeah, and we don't have to dwell on Game of Thrones right now. We'll be doing enough of that later this month. I can't wait for the 14th. Anyway, I think we're boring memes and hyper. They just shut the fuck up.
Oh, actually, it's not Game of Thrones based, but something I said I would do. Apparently, the whole porn pass thing hasn't kicked in because I decided to check it out and wandered on to Pornhub without being questioned whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, the government did say a while ago that it would be unlikely that it would be implemented by the 1st of April, because I mean, it's going to be hard for them to implement that.
Oh, wait a second. Wasn't there also other things they were trying to implement, like maybe some negotiation for like an international matter or something?
Don't know, actually. Don't know. And if you was going to ask, was I using my VPN? No, I deliberately turned it off to do the test.
You got a license for that wank, mate?
Oh, Jensen, how about this? Which comes first, Brexit or wank license?
Probably the wank license, because in all fairness, I'm as much as it annoys me, I'm still not actually holding out that much hope on Brexit anytime soon. It's depressing.
Is that a sad thing that if the elected members of your parliament are able to implement a porn pass for the entire nation before they can actually negotiate out of an international deal that will involve the future of everybody there? Is that sad?
No, what it is stupid. The reason it's stupid is because they should actually have not brought in the porn pass. Because after all, at the end of the day, porn is just a modern version of bread and circuses.
Should it be memed?
Yes. If I was capable of doing that shit, I would. But
Jensen,
your name
I would argue this, Jensen, against the porn pass. Be like, it's sexist. It's mainly males that watch porn. Is there a license to go buy a fucking dildo? No.
Are you sure it's mostly dudes?
Yeah, I'm betting it's mostly guys that watch.
Girls don't watch porn.
I'm not saying they don't.
Mostly.
I'm saying they don't. I said mostly.
Do you have a source for this?
Are you kidding me right now, memes?
I'm being skeptical.
Are you?
Well, you're just being fucking willfully ignorant. I mean, it's been
I'm also being a dick.
A while that
it's in my nature.
You're just being a cunt.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. It is your nature to be a dick.
Okay, do I need to show you numbers of how many women buy dildos compared to men buying dildos? I'm pretty sure we don't.
I don't know.
Need to see the numbers on this.
No, we just need to just fling a cup at his head.
I offered to buy XX Mrs. Memes a dildo, but then she didn't want it, and then she bought me the lips of Miss Sasha Grey. We've been over this before.
This when she dumped you, she's like, "Here, go fuck yourself."
No. That was after she got her Hitachi. It started vibrating. She jumped in my arms. She wasn't expecting this. We already covered this, and she also didn't believe in giraffes for a while.
God damn it, memes.
And I still say that map she drew was because she comes from a different universe. She's part of the Mandela effect. Just pointing it out, okay? You know, not trying to derail anything.
The chat is siding with me, memes. Aunt Jack says woman's equivalent is actually Harklin novels and books like 60 Shades of Grey.
It's 50. Is there a sequel?
Hammered Spud says women's don't watch porn, they read it. Jez, though, has your back. I used to go with a woman who had a bigger stack of porn tapes than me back then. Fair enough. So, like we said, hashtag not all, but a majority.
Get them off!
A majority of people watching Pornhub are men. A majority of people putting content on Pornhub, I would bet, are women.
Hold on, wait. How does one define porn?
Oh, God.
Now that's actually interesting because they've got rather specific on the definition of what porn is now acceptable. Let's just say you can't actually watch pretty much any of what you know would be considered almost normal porn nowadays. They have really cut down what is acceptable.
Can you go through a Victoria's Secret catalog?
Yes. Well, yes, I think so.
Okay.
But let's just say that you're into the ever so slightly darker side of porn. You're screwed, or more the point, you're not, because you know you can't watch any of that sort of shit.
Actually, no.
to
The
the point-
government amended that. You can watch like kinky shit.
Oh, cool. Okay. In that case, I stand
'cause-
corrected.
Yeah, 'cause
So
people-
what? You
some people
were
kicked
talking about like what? Choking or like bondage and shit?
Uh,
No, that's gone.
bondage. That's fine. That's fine. But
Oh.
they also wanted to get rid of shit like female ejaculation. Because apparently, yeah,
No. That's discriminatory.
yeah.
No, that's actually worrying. Seriously, I'm actually not fucking around now. That's actually slightly worrying because that seems to indicate a connection with the whole Sharia thing and female genital mutilation. Because the whole point of that is they don't want women to enjoy sex. So if they're actually not allowing to show women enjoying sex, i.e., having an orgasm, that is starting to actually ring alarm bells in my head. I don't know if it is to anyone else.
It also goes along with Christian Puritanism.
Mm.
They weren't too fond of women doing that sort of shit either.
But
Not blokes either.
I'm not sure about that connection. But even I thought gals could still have orgasms and stuff. Like it didn't need to be based on clitoral stimulation.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to show that the woman is enjoying the service. That's the point.
Isn't that counterproductive to the industry?
Why do you think the porn industry are quite upset about this?
Yeah, was the porn industry supporting the ban memes?
Dude, cam workers definitely need some representation. They are horribly undercompensated.
They're horribly, and we'll leave it at that.
Well, that's not
I
very
know,
nice.
right? And what do you mean undercompensated? Like those bitches get fucking a shit ton of money, and all they're doing is screaming like we are.
Do all the gals within the industry? What's the distribution of said compensation?
They will even tell you. I actually ran into some freaking some documents that were talking about how much better women are paid in the porn industry than men.
So here's a list of the stuff which the government wanted to ban. This is definitely going to make sure this channel's never get monetized at all. So you've got infliction of pain or acts which may cause lasting physical harm, sexual activity which involves real or apparent lack of consent. So no rape play, if that's it, that's your shit. Penetration by an object associated with violence. So if you want to use like a handgun as a dildo or a rifle as a dildo, something like that, can't do that. That's not allowed. No sexual threats, humiliation, or abuse which do not form part of a clearly consenting role-playing game. Any form of physical restraint which prevents participants from indicating a withdrawal of consent. Material including dialogue likely to encourage an interest in sexually abusive activity which may include adults role-playing as non-adults. So, yeah, that's it.
So, did that just make a bunch of movies illegal?
Yeah.
Yes.
But here's other stuff they wanted to sort of get rid of as well. Female ejaculation. Wait, I'm not done yet with the list. There's still more on the fucking list.
Oh, wait, there's more.
yeah, there's fucking more. So female ejaculation, obviously, they don't want that. No sexual acts involving menstruation. So if you wanted shagging while on the fucking Crimson River Strike, can't do that. No water sports. Pissing is definitely not allowed.
Well, what if it's an accident?
No exhibitionism, so no shagging in public. No spanking, whipping, or caning which leaves marks, so that's kinky shit out the fucking window. Inserting more than 4 fingers into an orifice. into an orifice.
It's turning more than 4.
So in other words, fisting someone is not double fisting someone is out of the question. Or just fisting
I'm so
someone.
glad my kids are not home for this show.
No, but what if you're trying to do the whole, like, I'm going to put a whole fist in my mouth thing to just kind of be goofy? You can't do that?
No, but they count
that'd be
the
banned.
fingers. Like 3 is okay. 4, you're getting borderline.
Yep.
More than that, nope.
Just stick 5 in the. Oh no, that's banned. That's illegal. That's
well, no. To be fair, at least over here, I believe the law is you can't have a knife blade that's longer than the palm of your hand. So there is technically precedent.
What if you use a mitten?
There's still fingers in the mitten, dickhead.
You can't see it.
And see, that is actually discriminatory to people with fewer than standard digits.
Well, do they have?
My dad used to tell me to, hey, give me 4.5 because he was missing the end of his thumb.
MC has a point. What happens if you've got like hands like the penguin?
It's discriminatory.
And you've got like and your fingers are fused together.
Are you still good to go then?
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Is that okay? Because it's like it's technically 2 fingers.
Well,
only got 2 fingers.
Context doesn't matter.
Getting fisted by that. Is that okay?
It's like height for a basketball player. You have a skill that the entertainment industry wants for you, and you can excel at it.
People like looking up.
It seems Loafer is enjoying this conversation. He's asked us to keep going. He's got another stiffy, so we carry on.
Wait, hold on. Are we porn?
Yes.
Yeah,
at this point.
Are we breaking the rules?
Have we crossed over?
I don't know.
This is ridiculous. I mean, you're counting the digits that are allowed to be inserted.
That's the law is yes.
What the fuck is going on, you Brits? What's wrong with you?
Mad. I've said this to you before, and I will say it again here. You guys need to keep an eye on this in America because a lot of the weird ass crap that comes out from us ends up heading over your way. So watch your ass, dude. Your porn collection might be illegal soon.
So doesn't America have like the FCC where you have gratuitous violence on television, but you can't show a fucking titty?
Okay, no. This if this is the legislation, sorry to cut you off, Matt. If this is legislation, this may have made a good number of action movies illegal.
Well, no, and like check it out. So, all right, there was this one time where my ex was like, go fucking get a porno. So, but it has to have a plot. I'm like, well, how the fuck am I gonna find that? So here I am at the fucking porn store. I'm looking, and I find this one that won like 4 porn awards and shit. And it was like,
was it Bridget the Midget?
No, it was like a vampire porn.
It
had a real
Bridget
plot.
The Midget.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, she still performs.
Weird on many different levels.
Memes, you worry me. You really.
Okay, memes. I would never watch a porno with anybody named Bridget or Brittany in it. That's my sister. No. Sorry.
Jez has made a suggestion for a porn you should watch, mate. It's called Edward Dildo Hands.
No, but this weird vampire.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Balls.
This weird vampire fucking porn is now probably illegal in your country because the woman would, like, she was a vampire. She'd pretty much fuck the guy and then rip his throat out. You know, like it was vampire shit. Like, so that's probably illegal.
That was the infliction of pain, but also I heard something along the lines of spanking or anything that could leave a mark.
Yep.
So in any movie where any ass has been slapped to the point where it could potentially leave a mark, or sometimes they mention that'll leave a mark, that is now illegal.
Yeah, no, in Hammered Spud, yes, I have X-Files playing in the background just for some ambient noise. I'm so used to my kids, I have to have some type of noise going on.
So
you
basically,
have told him it'd been even funnier.
The Hobbit tune of "If There's a Whip, There's a Way" that's kind of out now. They can't be whistling it.
But yeah, the government tried to ban all that stuff, but failed miserably. They had to rewrite the bill a bit.
how many movies has somebody put in a firearm into their mouth in a joking way that is now illegal because putting a firearm into an orifice is now banned?
Yeah. Good point.
Does this mean like if movies that contain these things are now on the public airways, or excuse me, British Airways, does that mean these programs now need to be flagged down, meaning those advertisers would then have to have their money refunded?
Disturbingly, you may actually have a point there.
Yeah, no, and I'm just wondering, when did you guys become the prudes? I thought we were the prudes, you know?
You obviously have no idea who Mary Whitehouse is. Fucking hell.
I don't.
Oh God, yeah, I remember. That's ringing bells. Weren't she the lunatic that hated any form of cough sexual sexual activity or anything similar? Am I right?
Anything sexual, violence, stuff like that. No, can't have that. That corrupts the youth.
Oh,
So
see,
shit.
I thought you were talking about like the last like topless like weather gal.
No.
Wasn't that a thing back in the day for you guys?
Oh yeah,
Okay, so my thoughts aren't misplaced, just wrong person.
very much so, because the only image I've got in my brain of her is some 80-year-old bint, and if she's standing there topless, I'm throwing up in my cornflakes.
Oh, my apologies to your brain as well as the young lady who had taken up a cause.
Yeah,
I don't know. It sounds insane. I thought it was, the Protestants left your country and went to America. I didn't know we sent them back, but hey, you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, Mary Whitehouse was like a social conservative Christian, so she was like proper fucking prude.
Yeah, I have heard shit like that. Unfortunately, a tad before my time, but vague memories are coming up, you know?
All right, so moving on from the wank license, because the older kids will be walking through the door soon, so we better change the subject. It's April Fools. Where did April Fools come from? Who decided that April the 1st is the day to prank people?
Some libertarians.
Well, they were geniuses, but no, it was a real question. Does anybody actually know?
I don't actually know that one, funny enough. Damn.
I don't either.
Sorry, dude.
That's why I'm guessing it was a libertarian.
Is that the joke? Fooled you.
Well, no, you got to remember that it's only called April Fool's nowadays. Originally, it was All Fool's Day, so you'll probably find it was something that turned up sort of like 12th, 13th century or something similar.
The only good thing that Mary Whitehouse did is she got the Tories to implement the Protection of Children Act to ban paedophilia and child pornography.
Cool.
Yeah.
According to Ain't Jack, he says it's a pagan holiday, something to do with the spirits.
Huh, I figured it'd be more to do with the court jester. All Fool's Day. So maybe that was the day where they had a celebration and the king got roasted by the jester or something.
Quite possibly was. Sorry, dude. It'd been useful if Shirati was around. We could have got her to do a bit of research, but unfortunate.
Yeah, you can't trust women. No, I'm kidding. But all right. So nobody has anything on that one.
Mate.
MC, what was going on in the news this morning? What did you rant about?
Did I rant about? I ranted about a lot of things. I ranted about Brexit. I ranted about immigration and the fact that our border is wide open and they're going to be closing the border. let's see. What else did you want to? What do you want to talk about? Oh, do you want to talk about this new protest that took place in Parliament today?
Sure.
Naked protesters storm Parliament ahead of the Brexit vote. Environmental group Extinction Rebellion were pictured above the MPs as they prepared for the debate. The witnesses say they were pressing their buttocks against the security glass. One activist said, by undressing in Parliament, we are putting ourselves in the incredibly vulnerable position, highlighting the vulnerability that all of us share in the face of environmental and societal breakdown. This is the elephant in the room and is demanding attention. These people are bloody hideous.
Didn't they or someone else do this a couple of years ago?
On their bodies had slogans like "Climate Justice, Act Now," "Eco Collapse," and "Stop Wasting Time." Iggy Fox, 24th, a wildlife biologist, said, "I am tired of the time and resources our government wastes rearranging the deck chairs on the Brextanic. I want a future. Right now, they are burning it like there's no tomorrow." The group later said that some members had been arrested. What a surprise.
Wow.
The Brextanic?
Yes. That's what they said. We are walking dangerously close to irreversible climate collapse. That is what it has come to. According to reports, some had glued their hands to the glass. I guess Metropolitan Police confirmed that they had arrested 12 people for outraging public decency.
Well, they were willing to go to jail for their cause.
They glued their hands to the glass.
I'm not good like that. Glass isn't great at adhering to stuff.
Are these the idiots who fucking lick the pole when it's all icy out?
It's tempting.
Gives a whole new sequence to pole dancing now, doesn't it?
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait a second.
You know when she slides halfway down and sticks?
No, hold on. Am I really the only one here that's licked the cold pole?
Probably.
Yes.
I once licked a cold metal ice cube tray.
Did your tongue stick?
Yes, it did.
Okay, we have felt the same pain.
Yep.
There can be no hate between us then. Okay, we're good.
Did you stay on the pole, or did you have to go get the people to call the authorities to have you pulled off?
Oh no! I only did like the end of my tongue, and then I just slathered the rest of my tongue to like unfreeze myself. My tongue's pretty long.
It sounds like he's looking for a date, girls.
Well, he is in the market for another X memes, right?
To be fair, he's not in the market for an X. He's actually probably in the market for a current. Most people aren't in the market for X.
Another future X memes. Sorry, I forgot to add the future part there.
You don't give me much hope, do you? You're pretty much writing him off already. He's already doomed.
Well, what's he gonna do? Take her to fucking Disney World and throw a fucking wave in her face? I mean, the shit can't be well.
God, that's brutal.
I'm kidding, man.
Guys, Jez actually done a little bit of research for us about April Fool's Day. Some historians speculate that April Fool's Day dates back to 1582, when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, as called for by the Council of Trent in 1563. People who were slow to get the news or failed to recognise that the start of the new year had moved to January the 1st and continued to celebrate it during the last week of March through to April the 1st became the butt of jokes and hoaxes. Thanks, Jez, mate. That's actually really interesting. Cheers.
So basically, people that didn't know what day it was because they changed what day it was from where they were used to using it to the new, better system, they got laughed at and publicly humiliated.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no way I scared memes by talking about a wave. We joke about that all the time. Come back, memes. Stop crying.
You broke memes. You bastard, Mad.
I know. You killed memes, you
You
bastards.
sent memes down. You made memes cry. You evil son of a biscuit.
Yeah. What kind of monster are you, Mad? I mean, this is memes. He's cute and fluffy. And you drove him off. I'm so disappointed.
With whips and chains, he drove him from his presence. Out! Out, damned evil winged dragon! Out!
Be gone.
Be gone, damn foul fiend.
Get
So what else do
thee
you want to
gone,
talk
wretched
about?
abomination.
Do you want to talk about the latest on our wonderful ex-vice president or former vice president?
Oh, what did Creepy Joe do now?
Biden accuser Lucy Flores says she'll still support Biden over Trump. Lucy Flores, the woman who accused former Lucy Flores, the woman who has accused former Vice President Joe Biden of making her feel uncomfortable by gripping her on the shoulders and kissing her head several years ago at a political event, says she would still support Biden in a general election matchup against President Trump. Asked if she would support former vice president if he wins the Democrat nomination, Flores, a Democrat who has served in the Nevada State Assembly and supported Bernie Sanders for a nomination in 2016, told CBS News anchor Tanya Rivero, "That's not even a question. Of course I would support Biden."
That is ridiculous. I'm gonna get back to that in a second. But Hammered Spud says, or no, first we'll say what Aunt Jack said. What is this world I'm in now? It is Maddie who is usually getting mad and snippy. And then Hammered Spud says, does this make Mad Dodge a Dragon Slayer? Yes. Yes, it does.
I suspect, though, that memes probably had to bounce it, and it was getting close to his time leaving anyway.
But no, this dumb bitch wants to accuse Biden of some bullshit, drag his name through the fucking mud and go, oh, I'd still vote for him. Go fuck yourself, cunt.
Well, she's a strong, independent woman. Don't you understand that? Don't you understand that this is how strong, independent women act? They basically lay on the couch for the rapist if he happens to have a D by his name.
Ooh. The worst part is you're probably right.
I'm not exaggerating. You really want me to go through the scenarios here? Let's see. Who do we have as strong, independent women? Well, we got Kamala Harris, who basically, slept her way up to the top. All right. You end up with this situation all over. All right. This is one of the reasons why I hammer leftists so hard, because they don't have morals. Oh, my morals is we got to support this, and this kind of behavior is inappropriate and shouldn't be tolerated by anybody. Oh, he's one of ours? Okay, well, yeah we'll just keep it quiet. Did they say anything 2 years ago? These guys are acting like Biden. This is all brand new. Even before he was running, all right, or as vice president under Obama, they had pictures and pictures of all of them doing this, of Joe Biden doing this kind of activity. Joe Biden was in Congress, all right, and was one of the people at the same time he was helping oust Larry Craig and Bob Packwood. All right. These are the kind of people who really don't have any kind of governor on them, because it's whatever we say. You obey what we say, not what we actually do. And that's how they've always acted. Before anybody comes back and says, no, MC, that isn't true. That isn't right. Really? Well, let's go back. Just take the Wayback Machine. Just about a month and a half, 2 months ago, back to the state of Virginia, where the lieutenant governor was accused of even worse things. And yet at this time period, when everyone talks about the Me Too movement and it's so powerful and it's so popular, how come you haven't driven him from office yet?
Oh, yeah, he's still in there. So is old Governor Blackface, right?
Yep. Yes, they are. Nothing's changed. Why? Because the media will drop it All right, if when the Democrats start to coalesce behind them, the media will drop it and let them get away with it, because any kind of really reprehensible behavior from the Democrats is already excusable, because, well, even if he did all these things, I would still give Bill Clinton a Lewinsky, all right, just because he kept abortion legal. And there were women that said that at the time.
Wow.
Well, it's like the last election, right? You had those porn stars coming out saying, yeah, I'll give a fucking free blowjob to anybody that votes for Hillary Clinton, right?
Yeah.
Well, that didn't work, did it?
Did anybody cash in on that free blowjob?
So somebody tried to. I don't know what happened with it, though. Madonna said something like that, didn't she? Didn't Madonna say something like that?
Yeah. Madonna should be blowing some people, too. Shit's ridiculous, dude. Like, on the one hand, they're like, hashtag me too and blah blah blah. On the other, I'll blow you for a fucking vote Democrat. Wait, what? Wait a minute. I thought you were being overly sexualized and taken advantage of. Now you're wanting to get on your knees? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, they're two-faced about all this. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. All I was going to say is, in all fairness, you know, any bloke that actually did that and then actually goes around and points out they done it, are probably actually going to get Me Too straight after. So, you know, you're screwed one way or another.
Yeah, I probably didn't think that through very clearly. You're probably right, Jensen. That probably wasn't the best way.
Because that's what's going to happen. I'm pretty confident. Some smart ass is going to go up there and it's like, yeah, I did it. I got a blowjob. I did this. I did that. And 20 minutes later finds himself in front of a judge. And it's like, oh, so you admit that you did all this. So you treated her like she was a prostitute. You're under arrest. And that's his entire life screwed.
And there goes the next story. The next Me Too chapter.
Yeah, Jez in the chat says he would let Madonna blow him, but she has to wear the 80s stuff. I'm guessing the cone bra. Like, you're into that.
I don't know, man. I mean, you're taking a risk there, letting Madonna blow you.
I don't mean to be
I'm sorry.
offensive.
That skate's been rode hard and put up wet. I mean, well, actually, after it was dried out, I'm not too sure that I would want Madonna anywhere near my genitalia.
Yeah. This will be a term that won't necessarily mean much to the Americans, but the British out there would understand it. She's probably had more blokes in her mouth than the Blackwall Tunnel. Is what it is.
But I think we're just being too cruel and too vicious, and people, they're so sensitive nowadays. To hear such language from men, and he abused me because he was saying that Madonna was horrible. Anyway, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I will admit that it was great that the British took her in for a while, because we really didn't want her back. I'm a little disappointed that you forced her back, but I really would have preferred her staying over there.
Our country's fucked enough. We don't need her here too. Sorry, Dave.
I understand, but I mean, you took one for a team for a while. You could have kept her.
Well, I mean, all right, even if we took her, who are you willing to? I'll tell you what, we'll take her back, but we'll send May over to you. How's that sound?
We got a prison cell for Teresa. That's fine. As long as you don't send that douchebag fucking back. What was his goddamn name? The anti-gun fucking bastard. Piers Morgan. Yeah, you keep that motherfucker.
Oh, he's starting to change his tune a little bit, by the way.
Oh, why is that?
Just little bits and pieces that I'm seeing. He's he's not quite the Mr. Leftist. Some of these opinions are definitely having ever so slightly right-leaning tendencies, and he's been seen a little bit too close to his co-host. Christ knows what her name is. Don't watch the bloody thing. But he's like leant over and whispered in her ear, and I seem to remember vaguely patted her on the knee. Now, granted, that doesn't actually, it's not exactly a major crime, except nowadays that possibly could be considered a major crime. Maybe he's our version of Biden.
So basically, now he's in a bit of a sticky wicket, is he?
Yeah. But you know what? He's a twat anyway. I'm going to be completely blunt. Even though he's starting to change some of his opinions, he still needs to have his face repurposed using a baseball bat, in my opinion.
Well, remember, was it him that went after Alex Jones? And Alex Jones just wigged the fuck out. If you try to take our guns, it'll be 1776 again. He just wigged the fuck out.
I think it was, actually. I think you're right, mate. No, don't worry. You have to have a certain level of stupid to actually like Piers Morgan, apart from possibly as target practice or something exciting like that.
Aside from using his face as target practice.
Yeah, Mad, you might want to do your little speech. It's up to you.
Piers Morgan is a cunt. That speech, or
no?
I'm good with that one.
Yeah, good with that one.
I think he was referring to the views expressed on Mad Dodge Productions are not necessarily those of the participants or of the panel. Most of this is a joke. You freaking asshats, deal with it.
Yep.
that should be the new ending. I like that. It was a joke, you asshats. Deal with it.
So do I, actually, Mad. There you go. That is how you now end your little speech, as we're calling it. All right, mate?
All of this is done tongue-in-cheek. No one really wants anybody hurt, really.
Other than the fucking penguins, all right?
Other than the Nazi penguins, which Antifa hasn't found yet. I would love to fly them in mass and drop them in Antarctica to go after the Nazi penguins.
Nazi penguins? When's this a thing? Have I missed something?
Oh my god, you don't know about the Nazi penguins.
No, I do not know about the Nazi penguins. Enlighten me, a wise one.
Oh, wow. I'm going to actually hand this one over to Mad because they are his.
Okay, the world is flat. The world is flat. Hitler ran to Antarctica. He has now passed on his great glorious cause to the penguin population, who are working with the walruses to overthrow modern democratic republics and to institute the Fourth Reich. The penguins are an issue. The sharks have our back, though, so we're okay. We have a balance here.
Okay.
If it wasn't for the traitorous dolphins, we would already would have cleared out the problem. But the dolphins keep protecting them.
Yeah, and the dolphins that turn into rapists. It's really weird.
Well, I think that was the deal with the penguins, is they could have whatever they wanted. They could take whatever woman actually swam in the ocean, or man, as they so inclined. We don't want to, they didn't want to, be homophobic against the misgendered penguins, or dolphins. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got an opinion for you for dolphins.
Saw the dolphins pick a side. The sharks went, all right, we'll go with man, because they hate those rapey dolphins.
I've got an opinion for you for dolphins. Yeah. Never trust a species that smiles all the time. You never know what the bastards are thinking.
Well, you notice where they first started raping people? Where they first developed those tendencies? It was off the coast of France.
Says a lot, really, doesn't it?
I mean, it starts to explain things now, doesn't it?
Wait, are the dolphins smoking cigarettes now, too, and acting all uppity?
Got their berets on. Thinking
You're
that
never going to be able to look at SeaWorld the same ever again, are you?
I'm sure as hell ain't getting in the dolphin tank that they offer. Like, yeah, fuck that.
I like the way you think you get a choice in it, Mad.
Yeah, most people
How it
think
works,
that
dude.
most people think that aquariums with dolphins that those are just aquariums. In reality, they're like prison camps. They're POW camps for the for the penguins.
Oh, I was gonna say dolphin rape centers.
Well, that's the rehabilitation camp. That's why they're trying to teach them to do tricks, right? They're trying to give them something else to do with their lives, so that they become protective members of the ocean society.
Oh god, this has got even more ridiculous.
Excel knows what's up. He's in the chat. He says the dolphins are out there just raping everybody. Yeah, fucking rapey ass dolphins.
You do know where that comes from, right? The rapey dolphin bit.
Pinoid. Him and Excel did something about that. I think.
No, there was a story. I did a link on that story. Are you kidding me about the rapey dolphin? There's a story about dolphins freaking raping people off the coast of France.
Falcon has a piece of information that we all really need to know. He says, I just peed myself. Thanks for sharing, dude.
Okay,
yeah, no,
and we are now
banned
under the porn laws of Great Britain. We are now banned in Great Britain.
So R. Kelly's not allowed to do concerts over there anymore.
I guess the tours are coming to a close.
But no, I like that. Hammered Spuds back there behind us clicking in French. But no, the penguins are a menace, and we will eradicate the axis of evil that is the walrus penguin dolphin connection.
The Antarctic Triangle.
That's right. And if you eat dolphin-free tuna, you are a part of the problem.
Oh, actually, just to completely sideline everything we're doing here, talking about triangles, did you know there's actually a Michigan triangle? I.e., like the Bermuda
are you
Triangle.
saying in the Great Lakes? I think it's Lake Superior, right?
I don't, unfortunately, have that data to hand, but apparently there is actually a Michigan Triangle. Apparently they've had swimmers and boats and whatnot just go missing, and there's a whole area where the basically communication signals are pretty much screwed.
Well, no, I believe that's Lake Superior. It might be one of the other ones, but aren't the Great Lakes almost as big as the Black Sea? Pretty much, it's just they're freshwater lakes, but they're so vast that they have their own storms and their own swells and shit. Like they're huge, right, MC?
Yes. Yes, they're very huge. In fact, they think that there's ships that have been on. The waves are so big that they think certain ships that were too large that actually got caught in between them, and because the center was they were on either crest of the wave on the bow and the stern, that it basically collapsed it, or fore and aft, where basically the center was not supported, and as a result, it basically collapsed in basically V-shaped, crunched in because it couldn't hold its weight.
Sorry to derail it. I just thought it was something I should mention.
No. I actually am fine with this conversation. I was wondering if MC was going to elaborate more, because I think that's part of what's making a lot of these disappearances happen in the Great Lakes. I believe Superior is the biggest of the three, right?
Yes. It's the deepest and also the largest.
And it straddles the American-Canadian border, right? About halfway through, you go into Canadian territory.
Something about it. I'm not sure how they're shaped because it depends on the shape, like of where they are, and I don't know where the actual borderlines are, but it sounds about right.
You know what's interesting is there's also been sightings of quote unquote ghost ships in Lake Superior and Lake Michigan as well, I believe. Do you think this is more of a mirage that people are seeing, or are you a proponent of the Flying Dutchman and shit like that? It's not the Dutchman in the Great Lakes, obviously, but it's a similar story.
Whether or not there's ghosts and stuff. Go ahead, Quinn.
I dropped something in the side chat about the Bermuda Triangle of the Great Lakes. It's up to you guys if you want to chat about it, but I've actually got the thing here if you'd like me to read about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or do you want to save that to Wednesday?
No, you're good. You're good. I didn't really have a show mapped out today. Remember, it was a kind of a non-news day, really. So go for it.
Okay. All right. You may have heard of the Bermuda Triangle, but one of the Great Lakes has its own mysterious triangle. The Lake Michigan Triangle, sometimes referred to as the Michigan Triangle, spans from, Manitowoc, Wisconsin to Ludington, Michigan, and south to Benton Harbor. Hopefully I didn't wreck those names too badly. Right. The triangle is accounted for numerous mysterious events, beginning in 1891 when a schooner named Thomas Hume set off across Lake Michigan for lumber. The Hume disappeared along with its crew of 7 sailors. Not even a trace of the boat was ever found. Strange events continued occurring. Here are some of the notable cases. Do you want me to go into some of these, mate?
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to look up a map of the Great Lakes to present while you're talking. So yeah, go for it. Why I do that.
Yep. The Rosabelle ship mystery. In 1921, 11 people inside the Rosabelle ship disappeared, and their ship was found overturned in Lake Michigan. The ship had been damaged in a collision, but no other ship had reported an accident, and no other wreck was ever found.
Maybe it was Nessie who'd gone for holiday.
Oh yeah, it could have been actually. She might have been over there, have a bit of fun, have a bit of a laugh. Whoops, I hit a ship. Oh shit, I'm going home again. Sod this.
Yeah, something like that.
There's also the disappearance of Captain Bonner. The bizarre case of Captain George R. Bonner is one of the more mysterious triangle cases. On April 28th, 1937, Captain Bonner vanished from his cabin after guiding his ship through icy waters. The captain went to his cabin to rest, and about 3 hours later, a crew member went to alert him they were nearing port. The door was locked from the inside. Mate broke into the cabin only to find it empty. A search turned up no clues, and Donner's disappearance remains unsolved. There's a whole buttload of these, so,
Yeah, no, and look at the map. Like, these lakes are gigantic. I didn't realize Lake Michigan went all the way from Indiana and Illinois all the way up and connects with Lake Huron.
Huron.
However you pronounce it, yeah.
Yeah, no, they are very large. In fact, Lake Superior is almost the size of Wisconsin when you look at it. So
bloody hell, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, these lakes are big. There's a lot of water in there.
It does explain the name Great Lakes. There's no way you could really say a little bit of water over there. This is. Let's be fair. My country could probably fit inside Lake Superior if you twisted it sideways.
Very possibly, yes.
Damn.
Yeah, it looks like the smallest is Lake Ontario, huh?
Yep. But Lake Ontario may get larger, at least temporarily. Why? Because Niagara Falls is slowly peeling back into Lake Erie. and Lake Erie may dump immediately into Lake Ontario. So that's a whole lot of water. Lake Ontario could grow by quite a bit very quickly. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but 10,000 years from now, or not even that, probably a few hundred years from now, it could actually, there will not be a Niagara Falls anymore.
Wow.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Go see Niagara Falls while you still can.
How are we supposed to get rid of people? We shove them in barrels and throw them over the edge of the falls. What the fuck? What's going on, man?
Did you hear about why the first guy did that shit? Because I didn't hear it until recently. I ran across the documentary on YouTube, and he was just broke as fuck. It was like, dude, maybe people will give me fucking money for doing this. So he fucking put himself in a barrel and went over. Crazy bastard.
The first guy, did he live?
Yeah,
he did. Yes, he did live.
I just want to read this other one of the triangle you may find mildly interesting, especially you, Mad. Disappearance of Northwest Flight 2501. One of the most mysterious cases over Lake Michigan happened in 1950 when Northwest Airlines Flight 2501, which was carrying 58 people, crashed into Lake Michigan. The plane was never found. At the time, it was the deadliest commercial airliner accident in American history. The pilot had just requested to descend to 2,500 foot because of a severe electrical storm which was lashing the lake with high velocity winds when the plane disappeared from radar. To this day, the plane's wreckage has not been found and the cause of the crash remains unknown. About 2 hours after the last communication with Flight 2501, 2 police officers reported seeing a strange red light hovering over Lake Michigan, and disappearing after 10 minutes, leading to some believe a UFO was to blame. I told you, aliens. Anything goes wrong, aliens.
And what I just noticed is the map I chose has the list of shipwrecks in the Great Lakes. And it looks like Lake Michigan has very few. I only see one. While Lake Huron, is that how you say it?
Huron.
Has quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 known shipwrecks in there. Even Erie has one. Ontario looks rather safe. Maybe that's the lake I should go fishing in.
Downstream, the St. Lawrence Riverway.
It's just interesting. And Lake Superior has like 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought there was more shipwrecks in Lake Superior.
There's a lot more than that. Lake Superior is known for its shipwrecks, so I think these are just prominent ships, more than likely, because Lake Superior was known for sinking ships.
Yeah, and what's that island in Lake Superior? I'm guessing it's a Canadian island. The one to the northeast, not the one towards the west.
It looks like there's 8 from the way I'm seeing this, as far as shipwrecks go, in Superior that they're showing. But I think they're just major shipwrecks. Just major things.
But yeah, these lakes are so big; they have their own tides and stuff. It's almost like a mini ocean, especially Lake Michigan and Lake Superior.
Yes, well, they're that large.
Matt, for the Wednesday show, because as we know, it's normally Quinspiracy. How about we do one on some of the other triangles around the world? Because obviously everyone goes to Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, boring. Everyone's talked about that. Let's actually talk about some of the other ones around the world. What do you think?
Yeah, no, there's one in is it the South China Sea or the Sea of Japan?
There's a couple in Russia.
I kind of want to talk about what happened in Russia Where did
The
it happen?
Tunguska thing. Yeah, I know. You love
Well,
that.
not Tunguska, although that is very very interesting, because I still say that was Nikolai Tesla that did that, and it wasn't a meteor exploding. But I digress. There was these campers out in Siberia, right? And they ripped out of their tent from the inside out and went running through the fucking snowdrifts without a jacket or shoes or anything. And of course they died, but they died from internal injuries with no real external bruising. It's really weird what happened to them.
Aliens. Literally chest bursters. There you go.
Scanners.
But unfortunately, I've got to head now. So I hope you guys have a nice time. And I'd like to thank everyone that actually sat here and listened to all the crap we were talking. But I need to go. So bye-bye, everybody.
Later,
Yeah.
Justin. Thanks for
Have a
talking.
good night, Justin.
Okay, you want to go on to the next story?
Yeah. What do you got, MC?
Here's a good one that you well, let's see, which one do you want to do? Do you want to do this, what the Supreme Court says the Constitution does not ensure painless execution, or do you want to go to American hackers help the UAE spy on Al Jazeera chairman and the BBC host?
Okay, wait a minute. The Supreme Court ruled that you can execute people with no regard of pain or not. Isn't that cruel and unusual punishment?
The Supreme Court ruled on Monday the Constitution does not guarantee a painless death for condemned murderers, deciding that a Missouri inmate may be executed by lethal injection despite a rare severe condition that could cause him to suffocate. By a 5-4 vote, the court rejected Russell Bucklow's claim that it would be cruel and unusual punishment to inject him because it could trigger a hemorrhage and choking. He maintained the state must seek another solution for another method of execution, such as lethal gas, to carry out his execution. The case provoked a sharp ideological divide within the court over carrying out executions. The court's conservatives, led by Justice Neil Gorsuch, because everything is going to be Neil Gorsuch, all right, complained that death row inmates and their lawyers were using last-minute appeals to delay executions for years. Bucklew faced death for nearly 18 years, but waited until 12 days before his execution to file a suit contesting the use of lethal injection, Gorsuch said. That led to 5 years of litigation. The people of Missouri, the surviving victims of Mr. Bucklew's crimes, and others like them deserve better, Gorsuch wrote in the Bucklew versus Preseth. Under the Constitution, the question of capital punishment belongs to the people and their representatives, not to the courts to resolve. Justice Sotomayor rebutted those claims. There are higher values than ensuring executions run on time, she wrote in one of 2 dissents filed by the liberals. If a death sentence or the manner in which it's carried out violates the Constitution, that stain never comes out.
She's not wrong.
Yes, she is.
No, she's not.
No, yes, she is, and here's why. This is the kind of crap that these asshats pull, all right, when they want to sit up there and do something. So are you saying the Constitution is already stained from the years and years and decades and centuries where hanging was allowed?
The fact that the Constitution is squeaky clean. Look at the Dred Scott decision. The Supreme Court stained itself forever.
The Supreme Court did, but the Constitution didn't.
But the fact remains that cruel and unusual punishment, that stands. And he's not saying let me out of
cruel and unusual punishment. It's
take him out back and shoot him. I don't give a fuck.
It's not cruel and unusual punishment. The whole reason they don't shoot people. There's lots of reasons why executions are carried out the way they were. The whole thing of lethal injection was because they wanted to make it more humane. Let's be perfectly honest. People like you People like you don't care whether or not it's with lethal injection or anything else. You're opposed to the death penalty anyway, and you'll come up with any silly excuse as to why it shouldn't happen.
Am I opposed to the death penalty? Yes, I am. But that's not what I'm arguing here, though, MC. I'm arguing that if it can create asphyxiation and he's going to suffer, then he's right.
How's
he's
he
right.
going to suffer when the first injection knocks you unconscious?
Does it? Did the doctor try it to see if it was painless? I doubt it.
Well, because when you kill people, how are you going to know if it's painless unless the person dies? There's no such thing as a painless death. I don't care who you are. Has anybody come back?
March him out, break his neck quickly. We know how quick that is. You know, that's probably the best way to do it.
And why don't they do it?
I don't know. I don't know why they don't.
Because it's possible that they misjudged the weight, and the person, instead of just getting their neck broke, is either A, not broken and they suffocate to death, or B, they misjudge the weight and the head pops off and they actually decapitate it. Because those possibilities exist, well, that's cruel and unusual punishment. Can't use that.
Okay. I would argue the guillotine is cruel and unusual because there's been tests where the head remains conscious for at least 15 seconds after it's separated from the body. So you actually, when they hold the head up to the crowd, you see everybody cheering your death, and then you die. That sounds cruel and unusual as well. I would stick with firing squad then.
Well, wonderful, except for the fact that sometimes the firing squad could possibly miss, or it just so happens that the bullet doesn't go in the trajectory that they wanted, and therefore the person is alive after you shot him in either the head or the heart, and therefore you got to either A, shoot them again, or B, that they've been turned into a vegetable. Cruel and unusual.
Well, then abolish the death penalty.
No.
Well, then we got to decide upon a method of execution that isn't.
No, we don't have to decide upon it at all. It's not up to the federal system, the federal courts, to even be involved in it. It can be left to the state courts where it should have stayed.
In Utah, they still use the firing squad.
Well, that's great for Utah. Then leave it up to them. There's no reason why this guy has to fight and say what they're doing in Missouri is cruel and unusual punishment, is it? It should be left up to the states.
No, and this person needs to realize this is Missouri. Yeah. It could be a whole lot worse. You're lucky you weren't around 100 years ago.
No, that's my point. This never should have been brought to the Supreme Court. It never should have got to federal court to begin with.
But why are they arguing on stuff like that when they need to revisit other things? Like, I don't know, the bump stock ban needs to be overturned. Let's use the Supreme Court for that.
Well, but they tried to push that to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to hear it right now, thanks to good old Justice Roberts.
Is Roberts a conservative or not? Because he keeps waffling.
No, Roberts is not a conservative. People have warned.
He's in the middle. He goes back and forth.
Well, what he is someone who wants to write his own name in history. It's going to be the Roberts court that people write about in history.
It was the Scalia court. He'll never be a Justice Scalia. Sorry, he won't be.
I won't disagree with you, but that's what he's doing. He's trying to put his stamp on the court.
Yeah, well, once again, Scalia put his stamp on the court, and you see what happened to him. I believe he was murdered. What say you?
I don't think he was murdered.
He was found with a pillow over his face. You don't think that's kind of suspicious?
We don't know. We don't know if he was actually found that way. That's just a report that one person said. We don't know how accurate any of that is.
And the fact that he was Catholic, they went and fucking buried his ass quick as fucking shit. They never really did a full fucking autopsy.
Well, that's one thing that I don't like. That is one problem. If you have somebody at this magnitude, they definitely should have done an autopsy on anyway. right, whether he died in a house or at home or whatever, they should have done an autopsy. There should have been an autopsy.
Yeah, he was a senior justice on the Supreme Court. What the fuck were they thinking? Not doing an autopsy?
Yeah, that to me was stupid. But I can't. It's too late to deal with.
Not too late. He was Catholic. He wasn't cremated. Dig his ass up.
Yeah, but any evidence, unless it was poisoning, all right, isn't going to show, dude. It's too.
I feel better if they dug his ass up. That's all I'm saying. All right.
You're in the necrophilia. We all understand.
Oh, fuck ever, dude. God damn it. I don't know. I think something fishy happened at that hunting retreat or whatever the fuck it was. Right, it was a hunting lodge.
Yes. Yes, I believe in Texas, right?
In Texas, yeah. How did Scalia get along with the Bushes? Just wondering. Asking for a friend.
I have no idea.
Just saying. Maybe there's something going on here. It'd be like if somebody died in Arkansas. I'd be like, did they have dirt on the Clintons?
Those are always the questions that keep coming up. That's true.
But I don't know, man. I do disagree with you when it comes to the death penalty. This guy's not arguing to be exonerated from the death penalty and put on life, though. He is arguing for a different method.
He waited till 12 days before the execution and came up with something after how many different years? He is doing whatever he can to sit up there and throw a monkey wrench in the works. This and everybody knows it. This has nothing to do with him being innocent or anything else. It's just another attempt to try and prevent justice from being carried out with the individual.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. If you're allowed to choose your last meal, why can't you choose your method of execution?
There are people that did allow that, but every time they turn around, there's always some little lefty loon judge that doesn't like the fact that executions are allowed in whatever state it is, and then go out of their way to try and stop all the executions. You know that as well as I do. They don't care about the law.
That is true. And here's something I wanted to talk to you about. So President Trump appointed the third justice to the Ninth Circus. He's starting to turn that court into something a little bit more moderate, if not somewhat conservative, isn't he?
We don't know. We'll have to wait until they start ruling.
But do you think it's a step in the right direction? Because even I think the Ninth Circuit Court.
Well, I think to be honest, I think Congress has to step in and redo the circus courts. There's too many. First of all, there's too many court cases going on within the circuits, right? Which means they're not able to handle enough of the problem. So there has to be a major redress in how the court system is functioning right now.
And the Ninth is the West Coast area, right?
Yes, the Ninth is California, Nevada, Arizona, Oregon, and Washington, I believe. I'm not sure if it includes Idaho or not.
Yeah, and it has been for everybody from the UK. The Ninth is the furthest left you can get when it comes to
over 80% of the decisions that go in front of the Supreme Court get overturned.
And a lot go through the Ninth and into the Supreme Court. An overwhelming majority of the cases lately, especially Obama's presidency.
Well, because they all ran. That's what all the leftists ran. That's what they do. Judge shopping. That's where they run to do these cases. They run to the Ninth Circus. They run to the Western districts to get their cases overturned. That's what they've been doing for a long time.
But I think, excuse me, I think we'll see a shift, though, in the Ninth. And the liberal states are not going to like it. The West Coast is going to be up in arms when a lot of these decisions don't go the way they think they're supposed to.
Well, we'll see. We will see. Because there's a lot of work. It's going to take a long time. It's great that he's doing that, but there's a long road to hoe there. Because there's a whole lot of leftist lunatics judges out there. Hell, you just had a judge freaking try to overturn just basically overturn the ban that the executive order reopening all that land to oil exploration. All right. And her reasoning is, well, Obama was doing it because he wanted to do it permanently, and you can't undo it. And that was her decision. Now she's a district judge, and she's a district judge appointed by Obama. So there's lot. Obama did a lot of damage in the court system, throughout the courts. Now there was less damage done than otherwise, only because of what's his name, Harry Reid. Harry Reid, all right, was the one who basically was like, okay, you want to play your games during the Bush administration by not authorizing judges, right, for George Bush, then they turned right around and said, okay, well, then we're going to do the same thing with Obama. And toward the end is when Harry Reid pulled the nuclear option. And it's like, okay, you want to play your nuclear option game with this? Then we're going to do it to you. And that's what's changed the dynamics now.
Yeah, because to be honest, the Supreme Court is starting to get packed. And if Ginsburg leaves in Trump's second term, which, yes, I'm probably still going to vote Libertarian, depending on who they put up. I'm going to look and see, of course. But I believe Trump will win a second term, and Ginsburg is going to go. That court is going to be right-leaning for a very long time.
We'll have to wait and see.
And what the Republicans did, though, was throw down the gauntlet, and when the Democrats get a chance to do it right back, they're gonna.
They didn't throw down the gauntlet. They said the gauntlet was thrown down by the freaking Democrats. The Republicans are following suit. There's nothing new to this. All right, that's the thing that people don't want to admit to. This all starts because the person who pushes the issue are the leftists, and then it's like, okay, you want to play by these rules, and we'll change our rules too. They've done this before, and the Republicans previously used to say, okay, well, we'll go back to being, trying to work with you and being impartial and trying to work together and hold out the hand. It's only recently the Republicans have basically said, we've had enough of this. And for people who don't believe me, all you have to do is go back to when the Senate was 50-50 under the Bush administration. What did the Republicans do? Technically, the Republicans could have ran through anything that they wanted to from that perspective, because the tiebreaker, of course, was Vice President Cheney. Instead, what did the Democrats do? They basically sit up there and said, no, we're going to do it our way, and basically, bit the hand that turned right around when the situation was on the other hand. They basically just ignored it. They went and said, no, we're in charge. We're going to do it our way. So you can't say that the Republicans who have been on the short end of this, all right, have been anything but patient with it. For crying out loud, you had Bork, and you had what happened to Kennedy, all right, and what happened to Clarence Thomas, and they still were willing. The Republicans were still willing to put in Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
which is insane to me. But
okay, but hold on. So the Republicans have been trying to do this. We're going to do this bipartisanship and everything else, but the Democrats never will. Once they find something that works for them, they go back to the same old tactics. That's what's led to this now. This bipolarization that everyone's talking about more than anything else is happening because it's a fight for the courts, because that's where liberals push their policies through. They don't do it through the legislature. They don't they can do some of it through executive orders, but they know executive orders can be overwritten by the next one. Where their biggest gains have been made is by running to the courts. And what have the courts been doing? The courts have been going, dictatorial powers to us. We will decide how things go. This is where they get their biggest and most permanent wins.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I think, all right, so here, let me pose a question to you, and I know we're winding down here. You're probably going to go soon, and you're the last panelist left, so.
Yeah, I do need to get going, so.
Yeah, yes. So we'll wind down here, but here's one last question.
Mhm.
What if either a Democrat or a Libertarian went out and shopped around and found a Republican to run with them? Find somebody who's an anti-Trumper. And could they actually give Trump a run for his money? Could a Democrat-Republican ticket work in today's political landscape? Could a Libertarian Republican ticket work? And in today's political landscape?
No.
Well, I mean, because if you remember, McCain was thinking about Lieberman.
Yeah.
So, and that wasn't that long ago.
And what was Lieberman supposed to be? Oh, he was supposed to be the moderate Democrat. He was supposed to be the conscience of the Senate. And yet, when it came down to the criminal behavior and the reprehensible behavior of one Clinton, William Jefferson Clinton, what did he do? He went and sided with the rest of the Democrats.
And I bet you McCain talked to him before he talked to Palin, and I bet you he turned him down. I bet you there was some backroom talks, because that was going to be McCain's thing to beat Obama, was split the Democrat vote by drafting a Democrat into
He wasn't going to win on that. He wasn't going to win on that. It was a stupid. It was to even consider that was going to be effective would be just stupid. The reason that McCain lost was what? The main reason is because he lost a considerable portion of his base, refused to come out and vote. It wasn't because Obama had massive voting records. Oh, they had turnout of the African American community that was above what it had been previously. That's all true. But the main reason is conservatives sat on their hands. They refused to go out and vote, especially evangelicals. The one thing that people, you can argue this all you want, but evangelicals are the most fickle part of the quote unquote Republican base. And everyone talks about how there's always the religious right this and the religious right that. No, it's not, because the religious groups, all right, are the most fickle and are the most likely to sit at home. They're a single issue voting bloc for the most part. They vote on one issue called abortion. And unfortunately, let's be perfectly honest, McCain had freaking screwed the pooch on that.
Yeah, I believe President Trump's been more anti-abortion, and he, for the majority of his life, was a New York Democrat.
Well,
it's rather
he wants basically to go back to where it's back to the states. He's not a complete anti-abortionist, from conception. That's not what his thing is. All right, and then that's never been his position. All right, he wants constitutionalists, which once again,
I'm more leaning than he is on the issue, because I am from conception.
Yeah, you definitely are more than he is. But see, his issue is he's going to put Supreme Court justices that are constitutionalists. You can't look at the abortion ruling and decide that it's anything but bad law. It's horrible law. They were reading things into it. It has from a legal standpoint. They read things. They invented things. They invented a right to privacy that's never existed. All right. They went back and did a bunch of things to try and justify abortion as an individual right. And look what it's led to. It's led to a bifurcation now where everyone is complaining, well, some people have these rights and some people don't. It led to the whole freaking men's rights movement as a direct result of it. All right. It hasn't made things better. It hasn't cleared anything up. And they're still arguing over the same thing, which is, when does human life begin? And when then does that human life become eligible for protection by the state? All right. Leftists won't answer that question. They avoid even asking that question. They won't even talk about that question. All right. They just talk about, well, I don't want to sit up there and tell a woman it's not her right to choose. What does that have to do with the question? Well, I can tell you what it is you're too much of a coward to actually look at the situation and say when life begins. You want somebody else to tell you what it is, as long as you still get to kill that child. You don't want to have that argument, and we haven't had that argument as a republic, which is one of the reasons why it never should have gone to the calling the way it is. Even if the Supreme Court today said no, abortion can be declared illegal, okay, it would still be legal in many states in the country. In fact, it would be legal in all states in the nation until states started putting electors to ban it within their states. Other states would allow for it, would continue it. States like New York would continue to allow it, right? States like Nebraska would then have to put a law in to end abortion in its states, which Nebraska probably would, being from a deep red state. All right, but that's what would happen. It wouldn't actually change immediately anything aside from that these rules can go into effect, and there's still no guarantee in these deep red states that the abortion rules that they've tried to put in place, which are basically third trimester, right, rules, or the heartbeat law, right?
Yeah.
Is that truly draconian? Is that truly sitting up there ending all abortions like many people would like to see? No, it's not. There are a number of situations like this, and it just keeps coming back again and again, and it's going to be that way. If it was left up to the states, then people would decide in their own states, look, I don't want it in my state. If you wanted to put it in your state, go for it. That's where it would have been left to. And it could have been left there. But because you had busybody freaking leftists who want to dictate from the bench, okay, we're in the situation that we're in, and this is why it riles Americans even to this day, and it will continue.
Yeah. Well, no, and you even have people like my wife, who is she has the same stance on abortion that I do, and she gets roasted by her friends on Facebook about it, and it's like, what? Because she cares about freaking people's lives, I guess. I don't know. But the thing is also, Georgia passed the law outlawing abortion. That's going to be pushed to the Supreme Court. There's also the Virginia and New York laws that will probably go before the Supreme Court. We're going to have another Roe v. Wade argument.
It's going to continue until it's taken out of the court's hands, until they overturn the ruling and said, look, it's up to the states and it's up to the state legislatures to make this decision. The federal government has no place making this decision, and that they could have already done.
Yeah, and the men's rights activists have a point when they talk about abortion. Well, I don't have the choice. If you choose to keep it, I have to pay for it. There is merit to that argument.
There are issues with it. There's definitely issues with it. That's true.
But I think on that note, I'm going to go ahead and let you go because you're probably going to go eat or whatever. Hey, man, you doing a show tomorrow? Because tomorrow's my day off. I got schoolwork to catch up on. So
I'll do my morning show. Whether or not I do one in the evening, I might do one in the evening. We'll see.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. As always, we will be back Wednesday, and ignore the dog. I'm going to kick him in a second. Good night. Good luck. Don't go to fucking France. We're out of here.
Good night, everybody.